You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your December 1st 2022 edition. Yes, we are now in the month of December. Guys, make sure you're following the podcast on Twitter at Dog Pound Podcast, liking us on Facebook and Instagram by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. You can follow my co-host Kyle at JustKyle51 and myself at new Twitter handle bcaputo_AGM. So we'll have to get that changed on the graphic. Wow. But, guys, if you're enjoying the video version of the podcast, make sure you're hitting that like, smash and subscribe, and hitting that bell icon for all updates on new videos and new content that gets released on the channel. And you can find us on demand on whatever audio platform you choose to listen to us. Like I said, I'm very under the weather today, as you can see in the video version of the podcast. I'm only going to mention it once because we're going to get through it. The show must go on. But, yes, I am Mayor Quimby on the video version of the podcast today. And we're going to turn it over to Kyle, who's going to take over most of the show talking because I'm still extremely under the weather. And we'll kind of get through a lot today. We've got history. We've got postgame. We've got Teddy Bear Toss interview. We got Angelidis' final wrap-up. We got a new coach. We've got Twitter polls. We got a lot of different stuff today. So with that said, I'll turn it over to my co-host, Kyle Lakett, to set us through the rest of it.
God, so much has happened today, and so much this week. And it's only natural that, one of us gets sick and is not able to talk about it. When stuff's going bad, we're good. But when stuff's going good, it's like, no, punishment. But, it's been one hell of a week in IceDog land. Two big wins against two good teams. One who's second place in the Eastern Conference right now. A massive win against not a clean win. I guess you could say it's one of those like ugly wins, but win's a win regardless. A big 6-5 win against the North Bay Battalion on Saturday, which was one hell of a game, and was a teddy bear toss game, which we'll get into later. Branden got a chance to go down and talk to the goal scorer, Kevin He, on the ice. So we got some words with him. We talked to Brenden Sirizzotti, who had a hell of a game on the Friday night against the Barrie Colts, and ended up being the first star of that game. But yeah, one hell of a game. And we got a new coach. So the interim coach, Angelidis, didn't last too long. I think it was believed 3 games that he lasted with this team.
4 games.
4 games. And now, the word interim was there, right? Interim.
Yeah.
So we knew that it wasn't going to last long. And in that process, they ended up finding. It's not like he's going anywhere, though. He is staying on as an assistant coach, which we'll get into later and talk about that. But I'm excited to see what this new coach brings to the table. He's got some sort of pedigree behind him, so I'll be interested to see how he transitions that to this team. But one hell of a week for the IceDogs, and we're gonna start things in the past, I guess you would say. And we're going to start off with my favorite, I guess at least my favorite segment of every show that we do, and that is This Week in IceDogs History with our very own Ted Lehman, the voice of the Niagara IceDogs.
I'm Ted Lehman. On This Week in IceDogs History, how about we play a little Who Am I? Just one piece of history of note in the past 7 days, and it happened on November 29th in the IceDogs year 2009. But to get there, you have to back up to the springtime OHL priority selection draft, the U-whatever draft. It used to be called the midget draft. They changed the name, of course. And you look at the IceDogs second round selection, but the first round selection that springtime was almost more noteworthy because who it was and what happened as a result. Lucas Lessio, by General Manager Dave Brown, was the IceDogs' first-round selection in the spring of 2009. Lucas Lessio, of course, becoming famous or infamous, it depends on your perspective, for refusing to report to the IceDogs. Trade was forced to the Oshawa Generals, and General Manager Dave Brown got a boatload of picks that helped create the first IceDogs championship team, which of course would skate away in 2012 into the OHL finals after winning the Eastern Conference. But in 2009, this second rounder would play his first ever Ontario Hockey League game, and it was, an average game for a rookie, no shots on goal, one minor penalty. But it was on November 29th in the year 2009 when this player would score his first goal ever. And by the way, just as a note of history, in his first ever game, current IceDogs coach Andrew Fritsch got his first goal in the OHL. Great names, Chris D'Souza, Alex Friesen helping out. Johnson Andrews, famous locally and in IceDogs lore, helped out Agazino on a goal in this player's first game. But it was on November 29th in 2009, if you think it's easy to play in this league, when this player would score his first goal. Josh Mose, Alex Friesen would help out. GM Center in Oshawa is where it happened. IceDogs were down 2-0. He scored at 16-17 of the opening period. That was the first of 40 goals for this incredibly famous member of the IceDogs family. Now, of course, in the NHL. In 2011, he was the 9th overall selection by the Boston Bruins. Who am I? Well, I'm Dougie Hamilton. It took from September until November 29th for Dougie to get his first goal ever, and he would count 39 more in IceDogs colors. November 29th, 2009. It happened on this day in IceDogs history. Enjoy the memories. I'm Ted Lehman.
Oh, fantastic, Ted. My buddy Teddy Bruschi, as I like to call him, is his nickname. But wow. Great piece of history, though, Brenden.
Yeah, Dougie Hamilton getting his first ever goal. It took him almost 2 months to do so. So for the croutons out there freaking out about, certain people not scoring their first goals, I think Dougie Hamilton turned out pretty okay, considering it took him 2 months to get his first career goal. And Andrew Fritsch, how about that? Current IceDogs coach, got his first goal as an IceDog in 2009.
Right, and then Dougie Hamilton, being a 9th overall pick in the NHL, it's not like it's a big deal or anything. He's has a great career in the NHL as well. But it's Dougie Hamilton, right?
Yeah. So,
but great piece of history. Always love these segments with our pal Ted.
I want to give a shout out quickly to the Country 89 broadcast. Successful first week on the radio. Guys, you can check out Ted Lehman every single game, home and away. He even travels with the team to cover every game. He'll be there in Sudbury on Sunday. Long drive. So check him out, Country 89 on either the radio or country89.com and giantfm.com as well for all of the Niagara IceDogs radio broadcast. So there's your plug, Ted.
Teddy, can't wait to talk to you again, man. But let's continue on here. We'll talk about that first game that the IceDogs had last week. One of it's crazy that we get to say this, back-to-back wins. The first time this year, I think we've been able to say this, and boy, did it feel good. And what a commanding win, nevertheless, in that first game. IceDogs winning 7-4 against the Barrie Colts, and it was a statement game. You can just feel it, that the team was done being pushed around and done losing these crushing defeats, and they came into this game with a fire lit under their behinds, man. They were just quick fire off the bat from start to finish, and they ran over the Barrie Colts, and this was great. And this is a cool little insight here for a lot of you fans that don't know. So the IceDogs, I guess they really rallied around your support for both these games, but they saw you guys come out in full force that first game. It was a 4,400 crowd, I believe, or 4,200 the first game. But they loved it. They so many of the players were talking about how loud it was, and they fed off your energy. And to give you guys again another little insight, when they heard our boy JMB, John Morgan Burns, shout out to him, when he went and told the team about the sellout, well, near sellout for Saturday night, the boys got pumped. All of them got so excited about playing Saturday night, and we saw what happened. They went in and beat the second place team in the Eastern Conference 6-5. So just goes to show you guys, when you go and you support this team like you always do, and you're loud, like Rod says, be loud and be proud. This team feeds off your energy, and we really we always bring the noise every game, but they really rallied around that, and that big win against the Barrie Colts on the Friday night.
I'd like to mention San Jose Sharks prospect Ethan Cardwell, hat trick in that game.
Why? Who cares?
Because I'm trying to promote the interview I did with him, which is now live on the channel. So if you guys want to go listen to my interview with Ethan Cardwell, if you're a Sharks supporter, Cam No Sleeves.
After you see them lose to the Leafs tonight, you want to go over there and listen to
shout out to Cam No Sleeves Gaming. He's a Sharks fan, so I know at least I got one person listening to that. But it was encouraging because like Cardwell scored like those back-to-back goals in like a minute and a half. And the IceDogs, they did this in the North Bay game too, but they didn't let them giving up multiple goals crumble them. Like they really used it and turned it back. They were able to battle through that adversity. You know, what we've seen in the past and in past years, you know, they give up a couple goals and they disintegrate, and then that's it, and things spiral out of control. Jeff Angelidis and the coaching staff did a really good job of, you know, bringing them back and, you know, resetting them. And then they went out and came back in both those games, despite giving up goals and flurries against two really good Central Division opponents. That's another thing. They beat two divisional opponents. So those are two huge wins, Kyle. But I think that says a lot, them being able to battle back, you know, despite giving up some goals.
And, you know, if we're going to give shouts to the other team, Evan Vierling had an assist on every goal on Friday night, which is crazy. But, the team, like you said, the team rallied around not giving up after back-to-back goals by the other team. It was 2 goals in like 15 seconds, too, which was heartbreaking. That made it 3. IceDogs were only leading 3-2 at that point. Or, sorry, they tied the game. The game was tied 3-3. So they easily could have collapsed, but they didn't. That great to IceDogs to keep on keep things together and rally around that and a big win. That Friday game, though, I saw a lot in this team, and I saw a lot that we've talked about on this show multiple times, that this team has the ability to win games like this against a lot of OHL teams out there. I don't know if I would say all of them, because I know there's some strong teams out there, and they have the ability to have good games against them, but not get blown out. They have the ability to beat teams like this. If they continue on playing like this, I think they have the ability to do that. One player in particular in this game that had a really big game, and it was the first star of the game, was Brenden Sirizzotti. And actually, Brenden here got a chance to talk to Brenden after the game. So we're gonna get to that right now, guys. Here's post game with IceDogs forward Brenden Sirizzotti and our own Brandon Caputo.
He joined by first star tonight for the Niagara IceDogs, Brenden Sirizzotti, scoring 2 goals. Brenden, you were flying out there all night. You were really engaged. Those 2, sniped goals that you had. Did you just feel it tonight? Was there something that really gave you a lot of confidence that you were going to make a big difference on this game tonight?
You know what? The boys were happy going into this game. We were excited. We just had to turn over a new leaf. Everything that happened, we were on a losing streak. We just needed one win to show this. To get us back on our feet, and now we can just show this league that we're a team to compete, and that's what we needed.
A performance like this, is this really a snapshot of what you believe that your potential can be in this league as a top point producer, top goal scorer? You're up to 7 now in the season. Are you hoping to really carry this momentum and continue to contribute here for this club moving forward into the second half of the year?
100%. You know what? I got off to a nice start, and then I kind of slowed down till now, but past couple games I've been scoring, getting points, and I just feel like that's the starting point for me, and I'm just hoping it keeps going up from there.
You guys had a full week of practice with the new coach, just being able to implement what he's been trying to preach here. How good did it feel to get him his first win as a head coach here in the Ontario Hockey League, and really have a good performance in front of the biggest crowd here in Niagara this season?
Unbelievable, honestly. Like, made it better that it was a home game in front of a home crowd, but anytime you have someone new, even if it's a trade or anything, you kind of want to get them their first win under the club, and that's the biggest thing for us.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, teddy bear toss, another big night. Just is there anything going on around the room about who's going to score that first goal and get the teddy bears flying?
You know what? I heard a couple Ryan Van Nettens. My personal pick, I got to go with Castle. He's just going to score. He scores everything. But,
Rounds up, right?
Yeah.
And lastly, I know you're not a line guy. Did you do any Black Friday online shopping this week?
No, not online. I actually went into store, but yeah, I had to buy a girlfriend a couple Christmas presents, but that's about it.
Okay. First star, Brenden Sirizzotti, the Niagara IceDogs, 2 goals. Thanks a lot for doing this.
No problem. Thank you.
Wow. Good guy, Brenden Sirizzotti, going out and braving the lines and getting his girlfriend some Christmas gifts. What a man.
It's funny because he said in our rapid fire, which plenty more of those coming, especially for the Christmas holidays, he said that he's not a line guy. He hates lines. He doesn't want to stand in lines, and he always shops online. So I was kind of shocked.
I hate lines. I hate standing there. And do you know what gets me all the time? I'm going to rant a tiny bit here. when people try to have like conversations with you in lines, man. I'm not here to talk about what you're getting yourself for Christmas. No, I'm just here to get through this line so I can get my stuff and leave.
Wow.
If I want to have a conversation, I go to Conversation Barn, your local bulk barn, and have conversations there, because clearly they just want to have conversations with me there. So anyways, yes, Brenden Sirizzotti, giving their insight there too. The team wanting to turn a new page and put the losing streaks and all the bad losses behind them. And boy, did they ever do in both games, and especially this game. Brenden Sirizzotti getting the first game, having a big game himself, opening up the scoring, which that's the one thing too I forgot to mention was the IceDogs opened the scoring. And at home, that we don't usually see that at home. Or often from this team.
No, that's something that we haven't seen very often at all, like you mentioned. Yeah. And Sirizzotti's one of those guys where, if he can put together, consistent games, he can be a top point producer in this league. It just seems like some nights, he has it, and some nights, he doesn't have his A game. And exactly. I feel like what we saw on Friday night is the potential that he can have when he's, on his game at all times. It's frustrating because we know how talented he is sometimes, and maybe we don't see the results from him every single game. And right there is shows what he can do, and I'm hoping that we see more of those games from Brenden Sirizzotti going forward. And even he said he got off to a really good start and then kind of faded off a little bit, and hopefully this is the kickstart that he needs.
Yeah, and so big 7-4 win, IceDogs against the Barry Colson, former IceDogs head coach Marty Williamson as well. And big game by Owen Flores. He stopped 41-45. I thought he had a really big game too on Friday. And then, both goalies did too. We had Rosie playing on Saturday, who had a really big game stopping. There's 50 shots on net, so he stopped 45 of 50, which we'll get into later as part of one of our polls. But IceDogs moving into Saturday against the second place in the Eastern Conference North Bay Battalion. This was a big game for the IceDogs, especially like with North Bay being second place. They were 15-7 going into this game. And this was going to be the toughest game out of the two games that the IceDogs were going to have against North Bay. And they set the tone early, the IceDogs. Not only did they score first, they scored the first 2 goals of the game, which was huge for this team. And again, there was a time the team where there was a time in this game, it was in the third period, where the opposing team came back in this game. And they went up by 1 as well. They were up 5-4. And the IceDogs didn't let it slip. They battled back. They scored a goal 2 minutes later to tie the game, Daniel Michaud. And then Michaud would end up finishing his hat-trick game with the winning goal at 11:35 in the third period, which was a big goal to put them up 6-5. And then the IceDogs played shutdown defense, and they defeated the North Bay Battalion 6-5. And this was also a special game too, because it was the teddy bear toss game, which is always a fun game, especially for the fans, and the players like to play as well. It's always a big game, and it's circled on the OHL calendar every year. All the teddy bears and stuffed animals are donated after all the ones that get thrown on the ice, and it's just it's a sight to see. It's honestly a really sight, and to be there in person to do it is great. There are a bunch of massive teddy bears that were thrown on the ice as well. A lot of players took pictures with them, but our own Brandon Caputo here got to go down to ice level. Yes, he stepped onto that. He braved it in his shoes, stepped onto that ice, and talked to the goal scorer, which was none other than IceDogs rookie, scoring his 7th goal of the year, Kevin He. So let's get over to Brandon and Kevin at center ice.
Here with goal scorer for the teddy bear toss, Kevin He. Kevin, was there bragging rights in the dressing room for this? What was going on?
Yeah, I called in the room. I told everybody I was going to get this first one. You know, I got to get the boys hyped up, so I had to do this one for the boys.
Did you do a special celebration for this one? It's a big goal.
Hey, I did a little bit. Came down to the middle, you know. I told them I was going to do the same thing, so it feels great.
Just how great is this? A great crowd, a great initiative. Is this your first teddy bear toss? And how did it feel seeing all those teddy bears getting thrown on the ice?
I absolutely love these fans. You know, they show a ton of support coming out today. I love them so much. Yeah, I appreciate them a lot.
Perfect.
Short but sweet from our own Kevin He, who scored his 7th of the year. You heard it here first. He said it in the dressing room. Stood out and told the boys that he was going to score the first goal, and sure enough, he goes out there and scores that first goal. Selly's down the middle of the ice, and got to take part in his first ever teddy bear toss game. Obviously, you heard there. He heard your support, and he rallied around that. He loved you fans out there. So you guys, and he's got his own fan section. Okay, I tweeted this out. We were heading down towards the coach's interview, and I could hear in the distance and I could hear him through the game. We were wondering what that noise was. I thought it was boos. No, every time Kevin He touched a puck or made a big hit, the crowd would go he. And so he's got a large fan section, and I talked to a few people that were actually there watching, and they were joining in on it, and they're big fans of Kevin He. He's gaining a lot of popularity, especially with the IceDog fans, and rightfully so. He's looking like a great rookie. 8 goals so far because he scored 2 in this game. Yeah, Kevin He scoring the teddy bear toss goal.
They always love talking about Kevin He having the greatest goal celebrations on the team, and Sirizzotti said there was a lot of people saying Van Netten for the.
I was hoping it was my boy Ryan, man, fellow Lee fan Ryan Van Netten.
And I'm shocked it wasn't Aiden Castle because he's been scoring everything lately. But it's Kevin He. Honestly, if you would have given me a top 3, Kevin He would have been in that top 3 of who was going to score the goal.
I was actually rallying behind Zito and Fimis. So those were my picks, but yeah, Kevin He. Now I'm shocked. I'm a big Kevin He fan too. I'm shocked I didn't pick him, but regardless, IceDogs coming up with a 6-5 big win, and they had to rally around. This North Bay team is not a team to play around against. You have to really be on your game when you're playing them. They got a lot of drafted forwards. They have a lot of good players. They have Ty Nelson, that stud defenseman in the back end, Kyle Jackson up front, Liam Arnsby too. Like, they have a lot of offensive weapons that can really kill you in every game. Josh Bloom too, your fellow prospect there. Didn't get a goal, but he did assist on 2 goals. So there's 2 points for him. I'm sure you're happy he's a Sabres fan there.
Kinda. He didn't have the greatest game, but when they put out that hero line with whatever it was, a minute left, and Rosie had to make that huge knob of the stick save. Their hero lineup was Matt Petrov, who was an NHL prospect, Josh Bloom was an NHL prospect, Liam Arnsby, Ty Nelson, and I'm missing
Kyle Jackson.
And Kyle Jackson is another NHL pro. I'm just oh my God. It was scary having that line go out there, but you know what? Rosie and the IceDogs held it together and held on for the 6-5 win.
Exactly, and it was a big game for the boys. They rallied. Again, 2 massive wins. Again, I said it before, The North Bay game was the biggest win out of the weekend against a top team. And again, we've said it every episode. This team has the ability to do this. We've seen it in training camp with the players that are still here. We've seen it in the new players that arrived here in Niagara, gain the chemistry with the players that are already here. We know they have the potential to be a good team like this. And I think we're going in the right direction here. We'll see what kind of system this new coach implements. But you know what? Even with those 2 wins under Angelidis, he's still going to be here as an assistant coach. So, he's still going to be around to help out the new head coach. So, you know what? I have a lot of faith in this new coaching staff, which we'll get into. But first, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back here, guys, to talk about Angelidis' post game from the weekend, talk about the new head coach. We have some Twitter polls to go over, and we'll look ahead at the coming week for the Niagara IceDogs and some player stats. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Armchair GM Sports Network and the Dog Pound Podcast.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Hey, this is Landon Cato, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Thanks for that, Landon. Welcome back to the segment 2 of today's Dog Pound Podcast. Brandon Caputo and Kyle Lakett back with you here. Guys, if you're enjoying the video version of the podcast, make sure you're hitting that like, smashing subscribe, smashing that bell icon for all updates on videos that get released on our channel. Rapid fire stuff, any interviews we do is all going to be on there. And give us some love if you're listening to us on demand on whatever audio platform you're listening to us right now, which Kyle's not a big fan of Deezer, but I guess any other platform other than Deezer, you can go and give us some love.
Hell uses Deezer. Like, sorry to you fans that are, but like I'm never like going unless you just really hate Apple Pod. Like you have this vendetta against Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Then sure, you're using something else. But like
maybe Spreaker.
Spreaker, I guess.
Maybe our website, armchairgmsports.com. You can listen to the podcast right on there as well.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat, I guess.
I just was able to plug like 5 things at once there, so I'm good.
Good for you, man. But I believe we have some post-game audio, right? Correct? Is it audio? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's post-game
audio from
Jeff Angelidis.
Former interim head coach Jeff Angelidis about this weekend's game. So let's get to that audio, shall we?
Coach, can you just talk about this weekend? You said there were some good things, but bad tendencies reared their ugly head. So what did you guys work on this week in practice that you really thought that coming to this game they implemented that tonight? What were some of the things that you really thought that you've been trying to preach that really stood out tonight in this win?
Well, to be perfectly honest, it was the first full week of practice. We haven't been able to get into a rhythm, a routine of the up and down of the week of the practice. So, we battled Monday and Tuesday at practice, a lot of combative drills, and then it was more systems oriented on Wednesday and Thursday, and especially yesterday trying to prepare for Barrie here. So it was good to have a full week of practice and preparation, and boys were prepared, and we came ready to.
Can you talk about Flores tonight, the getting outshot in the first period, and he made a big breakaway save there in the first. Can you talk about him kind of getting that momentum for you guys and staying in there the whole game despite the shots on goal again? He stood up big when he needed to.
Yeah, he was great tonight. And I'll be honest again. After the first period, I mentioned that to the team in the locker room. Like a late save, we give up a breakaway like that. I felt there was only a couple of us on the bench cheering and hollering for Flo there. But that was one thing that anytime there's a huge save like that or a shot block or some sort of attention to detail, we're a family here. Our bench needs to explode. So I was caught off guard. There wasn't a lot of hooting and hollering when he made that save, but the rest of the game, anytime he made a big save, he heard it from us. So he was great tonight. Everybody competed, and those are the results that we look for when everyone's dialed in.
Can you talk about your first teddy bear toss? Can you describe like what that feeling was like, having that short break? Like, did you prepare the guys that break's going to happen, and you kind of have to get reset after all that?
To be honest with you, I did not address the teddy bear toss at all. I've been in games before with the teddy bear toss, and my team has been shut out. So it was a very uncomfortable feeling. I don't like the idea of it. Obviously, for the cause, it's fantastic, but I did not address the teddy bear toss at all. Just treated it like a normal game, and obviously once Kevin scored that goal, there's a pause, and we just tried to reset and refocus for the next shift, and that's all we really could do at that point. But that was a lot of fun.
For sure. And two great crowds back to back. Can you just talk about the energy in the building tonight and having the ups and downs? They come out in the third period, they get 3 quick ones on you guys, and then you battle back with a couple of goals and end up pulling out the win. Can you just talk about the ebbs and flows of this game? It kind of felt like a playoff atmosphere out there.
I'm glad you brought that up. It did feel like a playoff game. It was a roller coaster ride for sure of emotions. But what a crowd we have. I mean, it was a phenomenal night last night. It was obviously a special moment for myself and my family, but the crowd was great tonight, and I didn't think anything would match that right away, but tonight's crowd was awesome. So it's just it's exciting to send our fans home happy with 2 points, and this place was rocking tonight. That was a lot of fun.
And just about the weekend, those are 4 points you pull off against 2 divisional opponents, 2 Central Division opponents, 2 solid playoff teams right now. Just talk about coming out of this weekend with 2 positive wins and trying to build back up the standings here and working on the things that you've really tried to instill in them the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, 4-point weekends are huge. When you can do it with teams in your division and minimize any 3-point games or anything like that, to capture the full 4 points within our division is huge. So again, I'm thrilled about it, but there's work to be done. We got to get back to staying within our structure and not deviate from our path. We still haven't played a complete 60 minutes, and that's, from a coaching staff perspective, that's what we're looking for. We want complete 60-minute games and continue to grind teams down.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Interim former head coach, Jeff Angelidis. And the one thing I can say is, like, I love that he was so composed, and I love the fact that even with wins, he recognizes that the work still needs to be done. It's just because you win these 2 games, it's not the end of the season. We're not making the playoffs. We're not going to the Mem Cup. This isn't over. Like, this is just the beginning. And I really appreciate his attitude towards that. And he's right. There's still a lot of work to be done. We're in the basement of the OHL. These 2 wins are not going to get us out of the basement of the OHL. There's still a lot of work ahead to get this team back on track here and to continue on this pace. So I appreciated that. His comments towards the teddy bear toss was pretty funny. He's not a fan of them because he's been shut out in a teddy bear toss game before, which is crazy. But it's also good to, you don't want to really put those nerves into the players. So he didn't really say that it was addressed. And I kind of like that. I think that would be probably my mentality, is to not have the players focus on the teddy bear toss and trying to score. Just treat it as a normal game. Treat it as it's a tough divisional opponent, and you're going in trying to get the win. So I appreciate those comments from Mr. Jeff.
Yeah, and it's good that we're still going to have him around. I really enjoy talking to Jeff. He's very insightful. Doesn't use the typical coach generic lingo that you'd get in other markets. So I appreciate his insight and giving us really quality answers to the questions. It's always nice to cover a team with people that actually care to give you insight and want to bring that back to the fans and kind of be able to know how to cover this team better. So really good stuff from Jeff Angelidis. Glad he's still going to be around, but that'll probably be his last post game as head coach. But I'm sure we'll still see him at the rink and maybe get a couple of thoughts from him here and there as an assistant coach. But if you guys didn't realize, I put both post games together and edited those together. So it was an easy transition, but that was post game from both nights.
Look at this guy.
The love of
just this guy's just taking my job away. No, I love it, man. I love it. But there's a really clean transition. I did notice it, by the way, because I have an ear for that stuff. But I'm glad he's actually. You're right. I'm glad he's going to be sticking around.
Yeah, he's done a great job through 4 games. Like that was, I didn't realize that they were going to have a head coach come in so quickly. But from what we've seen from Jeff Angelidis, I mean, going 2-2, and that last week, I mean, it was a good performance in him as an interim role for sure.
Exactly, and out goes Jeff, and in the IceDogs hire announced yesterday or 2 days ago, Ryan Kuwabara. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I don't know if you found out what the proper pronunciation is, but Kuwabara or Kawabara, we'll have to find out. But anyway, he has been named the team's new head coach. This is a quote from him. From Ryan, I am extremely excited to join the Niagara IceDogs organization. I look forward to working with Darren and the coaching staff to create a winning culture here in Niagara. Ryan joins Niagara IceDogs. He has a professional experience both behind the bench and on the ice. Last season, Ryan served as an assistant coach for the Pittsburgh Penguins ECHL affiliate team, the ever-popular team name Wheeling Nailers. Before coaching pro, Ryan spent 2 seasons as an assistant coach for Flint, the Flint Firebirds, 2 seasons with the Saginaw Spear as an assistant coach as well. He was a player in the NHL, and he was drafted in the 2nd round back then. It was a 39th overall pick by the Montreal Canadiens in the 1990 NHL draft. He did sign a 3-year entry-level contract with the team to play with to play in the AHL with the at the time the Fredericton Canadiens, who are now the Laval Rocket. The majority of Ryan's professional career was spent in Japan, where he spent 8 seasons for Kokudo of the Japanese Hockey League, and even represented Team Japan internationally, which is pretty cool. Prior to that, Ryan was selected 1st round, 8th overall by the Ottawa 67s. He tallied 240 points in the OHL in just 3 seasons with the team. This is a quote from General Manager Darren DeDobler. Very excited for Ryan to be on this team. He's a very strategic coach. There's a lot of talent on the ice, and I'm confident Ryan could lead this team to the next level. He's also got a winning pedigree. He won the OHL West Division title with the Saginaw Spirit in 2018-2019 as their assistant coach. He was a player winning 5 JIHL championships, 2 World Championships, and an Ice Hockey Super League championship with the Belfast Giants. Earlier in his coaching career, the Hamilton native earned the Tom Kelly Memorial Award as the Coach of the Year of the JOJHL's Golden Horseshoe Conference back in 2013-2014. He's had a long pedigree. I can go on with this list. Regardless, he's got a long list of pedigree, and he's come from championship culture. He's come from a winning culture, which is great to have as a head coach to instill into this team. So yeah, Jeff Angelidis will be serving as one of the team's assistant coaches. I'm glad we're not getting rid of him, and I'm excited to see what Ryan has to do with this team and what kind of system he's going to implement with this team. And actually, I'm most excited to talk to him. Hopefully, we can get an interview with him or some sort of longer interview, but we are going to talk to him after the next game, which is going to be on Thursday, which is tonight. Sorry for you guys listening. We are recording the night before, but I'm excited about this coach, Brandon. I hope that we found a good fit here.
Yeah, he's got quite the spectrum of experience as a player and as a coach. It's really looking forward to seeing what he can bring to this team. And like you mentioned, I'm glad they keep Jeff Angelidis on the staff because I think he can bring a lot as well. But having a guy with OHL experience, I think, was big. Although he doesn't have head coaching experience in the OHL, he has assistant coach experience, and then he's also been a coach for a pro hockey team in the ECHL. I mean, that's pro hockey. That's even another level. So really looking forward to what he can bring. And his OHL stats were pretty crazy. He had over a point a game for the Ottawa 67s. So maybe he can turn with some of our players into over point a game players. But I know, whatever he's going to bring in here, I know Darren said in the interview a couple weeks ago that he had like 25 different resumes, phone calls, stuff like that. So I think that they've, really done their due diligence here and in their minds brought in the best candidate for this job where this team is at right now.
Exactly. I can't wait to see what he again, I can't wait to see how he implements his system into the team. I think because he's come from such a decorated culture, winning culture, and all that stuff, he's going to implement that into this team, and I think he could really do make a difference. So big things ahead for Ryan. Again, he's got a workload in front of him as well. He's not coming into an easy load here. He's got a lot to turn this team around, so we'll see how he does. But yes, IceDogs hiring a new head coach in Ryan Kubara. So next, we're going to get into the Twitter polls that you guys or you fans have voted on. We had 3 polls this week for fan polls to go around, and I'll go one by one here. So we're going to start with the first poll, which is which IceDogs player impressed you the most this past weekend, player or players. We have Michaud with his 3 goals, 2 assists. Kevin He, 2 goals, including the teddy bear goal. Sirizzotti's 2 goals, 1 assist, or Rosenzweig and Flores' goaltending performances both night. Winning one was Michaud at 50%. A lot of people were impressed with Daniel Michaud's hat trick performance. You know what? I'm going to have to... Second place was Kevin He, which I would have probably voted Kevin He or Michaud, but Michaud definitely showed a big improvement in that game, and he stepped up to the plate for the team, scoring 3 goals, 2 assists, in a 6-5 win against the second place North Bay Battalion team. That's a big stat line to score against a really good team, and it also his hat trick was the game winner to go win 6-5. So I agree with a lot of you fans out there. I know I would have included Kevin He, but Daniel Michaud I think was a good pick for this poll. I don't know if you had different, Brandon, but I would have voted Michaud.
I would have said the goalies just for the amount of shots that they faced.
They did 50 shots almost each game.
Yeah, but Michaud, I mean, he got off to a hot start. Then he was out of the lineup for a little bit. He was ill, and then he came back, and it's taken him a little bit, but finally seen some offense out of him again. He's a solid 2-way forward that they have on this team playing third line at the moment.
Big forward too, tall too.
But I mean, he's very valuable to have, and when he can put goals up on the board like this is what you want from a good team when your third line players are scoring a hat trick or being able to move up and down the lineup like Daniel Michaud is able to. He's a very versatile forward, and he's a guy that I think is very valuable for this team.
Yeah. Next, we'll get into what was the IceDogs' most positive team takeaway from this past weekend. Votes were 2 Central Division wins, 13 goals, 4 in 2 games, 6 of 7 on the penalty kill, or 9 different goal scorers. And winning this poll was 13 goals, 4 in 2 games at 36.2%, a close second place. Second and third place are pretty close. That was the 2 Central Division wins at 27.7% and 9 different goal scorers at 25.5%. I think any one of these could have won, to be honest. 2 Central Division wins is big, especially for where the team is right now, and one of them being against a second-place team in the OHL Eastern Conference. 13 goals, 4 in 2 games is great. We want to see a lot of goal scoring. 6 of 7 on the penalty kill is huge because we know the IceDogs sometimes get in the penalty trouble, and only giving up 1 power play goal, it was big out of the 2 games. And then 9 different goal scorers is awesome too, because you want to see that spread throughout the lineup, and we know this IceDog team has a plethora of forwards that can be serious goal scorers on this team. So I think any one of these answers could have won in my books, but you fans voted 13 goals, 4 in 2 games.
Agreed.
And third, The third poll we released, what was the IceDogs' biggest area of concern from this past weekend? So we had 4 answers there. 1 injury to Captain Cato, which is, again, unfortunate. Again, seeming to run into injury trouble this season.
Yeah, we don't really have any news on that at the moment. It's just kind of a wait-and-see type deal right now. But hopefully when the news gets released, we'll be able to update you guys on Captain Cato's status.
The next answer, giving up 95 shots on net in 2 games. Power play was only one of 6, and then 8 minor penalties taken. Winning with a 65.9% was giving up 95 shots on net. I think that was probably unanimous and probably going to be a big one to answer. I would also say the power play should be a big one. Second place was injury to Captain Cato, 50.9%, and power play was only one of 6, was 11.4% in third, and then rounding out the last one was 8 minor penalties taken. But to me, I know giving up shots is a big area of concern. I said it, I think it was the last show before. I've seen this IceDog team be a winning team in the OHL and still giving up 40, 50 shots a game. Yeah, it's an area of concern, needs to be fixed. But there's some times where it's just going to happen and it should be fixed. I'm not saying that we shouldn't concern or work on it. We should. But mine, I would have voted the power play. Power play only 1 of 6 is not great. I'd like for this team to be able to score. If we capitalize on these power play chances, we're not winning these games by 1. We're destroying these teams. We're winning by a large margin. So I'd love for them to improve on their power play, to figure out what their identity is on their power play, and to get into that rhythm of when we do have a power play. It's almost like, I hate to bring this up, especially with you're here, but when the Leafs are on the power play, right, they have that initial setup. They know what they're trying to do, right? Even the Capitals do the same thing. They have their players out there, the same 5 players. The Leafs and Capitals have the same 5 players to go out in that power play each and every single time. What do they always try to do? The Capitals always try to feed it to their one man that's going to put the puck in the net. That's Alex Ovechkin. The Leafs are always going to try to put the puck in the net. That's Austin Matthews. I want this team to be able to find, if it's not that identity, but have multiple goal scorers, but find an identity that they can instill and put up against teams where their power play is an actual threat. Because going 1 of 6, your power play is not a threat. Teams are not going to be that worried about your power play because you're not scoring on it. So I hope that they do work. I hope even the new head coach coming in, they can focus on making a well-known power play and finding your identity in their power plays, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I would have picked 95 shots on that, because I think if you would have told me going in this week, if they gave up 95 shots, how many wins would they get? I'd probably say 0. Yeah. But it's just refreshing, honestly, like, just to be able to come out with 2 wins this week. And
right.
Again, I'm not trying to say this as a, being a crouton or anything, but it's just like, I can't even remember the last time that we had like a perfect week. Even that first week, we had lost the first game in overtime to Mississauga before beating Flint and Saginaw. So it's just really refreshing to finally have some good positive stuff to take away. And again, I know the croutons on social media will still have some bad things to say, but you know what? It's a step in the right direction, and we'll see how they build off of it going forward in this next week.
Exactly. Those are the Twitter polls for this week. And to end off the show, guys, we're going to look ahead at the IceDogs in the upcoming week. They have 3 games this weekend, starting on Thursday, which is tonight against the Hamilton Bulldogs, another K9 Cup game tonight. We also have a game Friday night in London against the London Knights, and then rounding off the weekend in Sudbury on Sunday, afternoon game, 2:05 game against the Sudbury Wolves. So 3 big games for the IceDogs, 3 games to earn some crucial points against. 2 of those games being against, I believe 2 of those games. Yeah, 2 of those games being against Eastern Conference teams. 2 of those 3 teams, the Hamilton Bulldogs and Sudbury Wolves, in front of the IceDogs right now. So these could be some crucial points to get ahead and to catch up to these 2 teams. Bulldogs being in 7th place in the Eastern Conference at 19 points. Sudbury Wolves in 8th place at 17 points. IceDogs sit in 10th at 15 points. So you look at the bottom line, we could catch up to the Hamilton Bulldogs with 2 wins here against those 2 teams. And then London's another story. London Knights are having themselves a good season. That'll be the toughest game, I think, will be against London out of the 3 games. 14-7-1. They're in 3rd place in the Western Conference. Then a 9-1 streak right now in their last 10 games. So out of all 3 games, I mean, I sit there and say this is going to be a tough game, but they just proved that they could beat the second place team in the Eastern Conference, the North Bay Battalion at home. They can go into London. They can beat London. I know it's going to be tough because it's on the road, but this team has the ability to go in there and beat the London Knights. So, again, big 3 games, 1 home game, 2 road games, starting tonight at home against the Hamilton Bulldogs, the Canine Cup. Get down to that Meridian Center, guys. If you have a chance, get down, get some tickets, cheer loud and be proud and support this team because they definitely rally around your support. But, yeah, again, 3 big games, Brandon, 2 against some crucial points in the standings, too.
First battle of the QEW, we're calling it, with our buddies over there at the Hammertown podcast, Colin and Reese that do the Hamilton Bulldogs podcast. And after going 0-8 last year, the IceDogs are looking out for redemption this year in the battle of the QEW. So we'll be doing some cool stuff with them, hopefully. Tomorrow night in London, our only appearance in London all year, being in the Western Conference opponent. The Budweiser Gardens, that place is like basically almost an NHL rink. It's huge, and they always have a great crowd there in London. So those are 2 big games in my opinion. And then Sudbury on Sunday. That's a long drive for a Sunday afternoon game, but I think the IceDogs could easily come away with 4 out of 6 points this week.
Yeah, and I think they need to come out with 4 out of 6 points this week, Brandon. I think you need to win those 2 games against Hamilton and Sudbury if you want this to be a next chapter, turn the page kind of thing. I know it's going to be hard with the new coach coming in. He's only got he's got a day to implement his new system and, a few days in between, right? It's going to be tough for them, but I think this team can do it. And I think they need to come out with 4 out of 6 points out of these 3 games. And I really hope they can do it. So we'll see. Again, 1 really tough game on Friday night. It'd be a miracle for all 6 points, but I'm going to try to stay as optimistic as I can. And at least 4 to 6, I want this team to come out with this weekend 100%.
Quick update on the player stats. Voldemar William Hall's finally getting on the board a little bit here. He's up to 3 assists now for the IceDogs. Again, don't really know what his role is right now, but he's still trying to learn the North American game, being an import. Aiden Castle leading the way with 19 points, tied with Pasquale Zito, actually. 12 goals for Castle, though, leading the way. Only IceDog in double digits in goals. Pano Fima sitting there with 18 points in 3rd. And then Brenden Sirizzotti and David Jesus, believe it or not, is 5th place right now in points for the team as a defenseman. Only 1 goal, but he's got 15 assists. So David Jesus, another guy that we expect big things from coming over from Oshawa. And Kevin He, the rookie, up to 8 goals, 3 assists. That's pretty impressive, in my opinion, so far for the fan favorite in Niagara, Kevin He.
Yeah, he's looked really, really good, and he's climbing up the stat line as well. One person we have to point out that I totally forgot about because he set up a very, very nice goal was Juan Copeland. He looked very good in the weekend. He wasn't that noticeable, but he had a very good weekend, and that 1 goal he set up was
filthy,
absolutely incredible. And if we can see more out of Juan, I don't know if you're listening there, buddy, but if we can see more out of you like that, you're going to be more of a stud than you already are.
He drew like 3 play. He carried the puck in the zone, and he kind of just played around with it for a little bit. It was 2 defenders right to him and left Daniel Michaud wide open for the goal. Like, it was just... It was a really, really nice play all around by the IceDogs and getting Michaud the hat trick, but all the work there and credit should go to Juan Copeland for being able to just create that time and space for Michaud to be able to get open and then making a great saucer pass right through to him.
Exactly. But, yeah, I am excited for the week ahead, and I think this is going to be a really big week for the Niagara IceDogs. And we'll see how they come out of these 3 games. 3 big games. Regardless of where they are in the standings, these are 3 big games for the IceDogs this weekend.
Absolutely. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Dog Pound Podcast. Again, hopefully next week I'll be back on video version instead of Mayor Quimby. Back after get over my quick whatever I'm going through right now. But guys, again, make sure you're following us at Dog Pound Podcast. Liking us on Facebook and Instagram, and also following us you're giving us some love on YouTube. Subscribe, bell icon. You know the drill by now. and give us some love at armchairgmsports.com. Until next week, my name is Brenden Caputo for my co-host Kyle Aikett. Bark, bark, bark. Go Dogs, go. And we'll talk to you guys again next episode.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.